Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about that super annoying thing that happens, and it's when you're trying to fall asleep and of course you start to get all of these psychic hits. Really inconvenient, really annoying. We're going to talk about it. So welcome if you are new here. My name is Lauren. I am a psychic, I am a medium, I am an animal communicator, I am also a psychic development coach. And here on my channel, I help you all through strengthening your psychic abilities. So this is a question that I get all the time. And it seems whenever I'm having my coaching sessions, when people are new to their psychic abilities, maybe not always new, but it's a frequent thing that you are trying to fall asleep and you're getting psychic hits in that time period when you're almost about to fall asleep. Now, people usually have two reactions to this. They either are annoyed, but they're trying to strengthen their abilities, so they want it to keep happening and they feel like they can't do anything about it, and they feel like they have to try to remember it all, but then they fall asleep and they can't remember it. Or you have the people who are trying to just fall asleep and they're annoyed that they've got a spirit in their ear bugging them when they are trying to fall asleep. So either way of how you feel about it, we're going to talk about how we can make this stop happening. Now, the first thing I want to say about this is like, yay, we're getting psychic hits. That's awesome. However, it's at a time that's probably inconvenient. I'm going to assume that's what most people are feeling. Now, if you don't feel like it's inconvenient and you're feeling guilty because you're thinking, oh, well, I've got to stay up, I've got to memorize this is the only time that I'm getting psychic hits, that's not true. This can be fixed and we're going to talk about it. So first, let me just explain why this happens. So when we are falling asleep, right, we are turning off our day-to-day mind. We are turning off our left brain, as I like to explain it. Our left brain, that's like dealing with tasks, dealing with our day-to-day schedule. We're falling asleep, we're letting go of that part of ourselves to some extent. And we're falling asleep and letting kind of that right brain take over. Again, this isn't like exactly, this is just like an analogy. This isn't exactly how it works. But really we are falling into that intuitive mind. We are falling into our imagination. This is where, you know, some people believe you really leave your body when you dream. I think we kind of go into our subconscious. I do think we can go places. However, that's not the topic of this video. Maybe check out my dreaming series if you're really interested in that. But you're switching basically from left brain into right brain. And really this in-between phase is just like a perfect spot for your intuition to thrive in, because your ego is out of the way, your left brain is out of the way, you're more intuitive because you're more open, you're more receptive. So sometimes that's a really easy spot to get your attention, to get you messages, because you're just naturally more intuitive. I would also argue when you wake up as well, like that in-between spot when you're like not quite awake, but you're still kind of asleep, like that is equally like what we're talking about in this video. But you're in that in-between stage, right? And that's usually when you start to get some of these hits. Now, the reason that I think this happens is twofold. One, I think it's obviously a boundaries issue. We're going to get into that. But two, I think it's also because we unknowingly set the intention that it's okay for us to receive messages at this time. And this could be because maybe your psychic abilities aren't very honed. Maybe you're kind of new to everything. And so it's really the only times that your guides can really get in and give you a message when they need to. Also during your dreams, I would argue they might do this as well. But ultimately, it is a boundary issue. And the bummer about this is it's inconvenient. You know, you try to fall asleep, it's disturbing your sleep probably, and even if you are getting these messages, you might forget because you're about to fall asleep. Like, it's an inconvenient time, it's an inconvenient place, and you might not remember, right? Also, it might be harder for you to like actually protect yourself because you are literally falling asleep. So let's get into some things you can do to kind of get around this. So the biggest piece of advice I tell my coaching clients for this particular issue is first just to set some boundaries. Tell your guides, tell these spirits, hey, this time is off limits. You cannot talk to me at this time. Just like you might like silence your phone at the end of the night. You don't want like phone calls coming in when you're trying to sleep, right? Same energy. You decide when and where spirit like sends you messages. Now, if you're telling yourself that that's the only time, so you got to stay awake, you got to use that time. No, 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 no. That's, you're setting the intention. You want to believe and trust that you can get messages at other times. What you believe, you put out. So if you tell these spirits, if you tell your guides, this is the only time I can hear you, they're going to be like, cool, that's the only time we're going to talk to you, right? So you got to set those boundaries. You have to start telling them, no, don't talk to me right now. Talk to me at a later time. And that's the other half of this, is you have to provide, you don't have to, but if you want to hone your abilities, you should provide a time that is okay to talk to you. So that could be just, hey, during the afternoon in general, or you say, hey, only when I sit down to do my psychic, exercises. That's when you can talk to me in that 10-minute window, right? So providing a time that does work is also helpful, because then you're saying, I will still listen, I will still be open to these messages, just not during when I'm trying to sleep. Now, the alternative to this is also just shutting it off completely. If you're like coming to this video because this is happening to you and you don't want it to happen to you, period, I would head on over to my video about turning off your psychic ability. That still applies here. You can say, no, don't talk to me ever. I don't want this. I'm turning off my psychic ability. That is also a viable option. Again, that video is going to better cover this than this one. Now, the other part of boundaries is not just when, these spirits are allowed to talk to you, but it's also who is allowed to talk to you. So if you feel like some of this energy is negative, again, like check my boundaries video. I have a whole video on it, on how to like get rid of that negative energy. I have so many videos on that. However, we want to make sure that it is only positive energy that is talking to us, no matter what time it is. So if you feel like there's some negative stuff happening, probably normal, that's okay. You have control over that. And so just setting your boundaries and saying, no, 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 only beings of my highest and best good can be in my bedroom, can be in my house. Just generic boundary setting techniques will kind of help prevent this from being a negative experience. So no matter when you end up talking to them, make sure you are talking to beings of your highest and best good. Now, the next thing you can do is just turn off your psychic ability before bed. Even if you do still want messages in general, get in the habit of turning your ability off right before you go to sleep. Again, we are in control of when and where our psychic ability works, right? And so sometimes we have to remind ourselves it's off right now. And so we can use intentions, we can use visualizations. So at the minimum, you can just lay in bed and set the intention, hey, my psychic ability is off. That's it. You can do a visualization at the same time. You could call in protection. Frequently, I used to call in Archangel Michael. I would ask him to like guard my door, maybe surround my room in like gold white light. You can also like imagine your bubble that's around you, like reset that bubble. Say, nobody can talk to me, my psychic ability is off. I always like to use the visualization like that there is a door over my third eye, and so I just like close that door for the night. You can also imagine like a light switch. This is your psychic ability switch, or maybe it's a door in your mind's eye and you go ahead and you close that door. So whatever you need to do to make it feel like it's final, my psychic ability is off, I trust it, I believe it. That's really all you need to do at the end of the night. Now, if you do find that you're not only getting messages right before bed, but also like during sleep, and it's like stuff that you'd rather not be experiencing, usually I find that, again, this is like the only window where your spiritual team can like connect with you, where you're listening. And so sometimes it's best to just listen. And so what I like to say, obviously, is like, if you're having dreams, definitely interpret those dreams so that you can like understand them, say, thank you. Okay. You don't have to give me these dreams anymore. I hear you. Same thing with dreams here, by the way. Like, you can say, hey, I don't want you to send me messages in my dreams. I don't like that. It's disturbing my sleep, right? Sometimes we do that and they just keep coming. That's how it is for me. And so I just know that if I'm having like bad dream after bad dream, I just need to journal about it and figure out what they mean. And then all of a sudden they stop happening. It's usually our guides trying to get through to us about something that's important in our lives. So if that's the case, I think sometimes meditating or journaling before bed, like just getting rid of anxieties, processing your day. I do think that that clears the energy, because basically what happens right before bed is you're not in front of your phone, you don't have any sort of distractions, right? You're trying to fall asleep, and you're probably being inundated with all these thoughts, good or bad, and sometimes that is enough to kind of leak into your dreams. It's also enough to kind of like invite energy in, or invite, you know, like your guides in to give you some advice. And you're more open, you're more aware, because you're in that state again. So you might be able to hear that advice more. So honestly, if like I'm super stressed out, I will make sure to like meditate or journal or pull some cards before bed, so that I'm not getting inundated. You know, and it's so funny because I didn't plan this at all, but literally this happened to me last night. I was stressed out. I was thinking about all the things I needed to do on my to-do list. And then it literally translated into my dream where like the whole world was like exploding. Obviously, that's not really happening. It was just a reflection of my anxieties. If you've seen my dream series, you kind of know what I'm talking about there. But if I would have just like pulled some cards before bed, or journaled about it, or just like processed through some of those emotions, I bet I wouldn't have had those dreams. We're getting way too much into dreams. This is the period before bed though. Again, I think the advice is still the same here. Try to make sure to do any work to kind of just clear out your mind, clear out your thoughts, so that, you know, things aren't going to come in and try to like give you advice or bug you, any of that. Not saying that that is a solution for all of this, but it could be one of the things that's coming up for you that might actually help. Now, my last piece of advice, and probably my biggest piece of advice, is to hone your psychic abilities. If you are still wanting psychic hits, right? But you just don't want them during this period. My biggest thing, again, hone your psychic abilities so that when you are awake, when you are available, when you do want these messages, they can come through at a more convenient time. But if your psychic abilities are sometimes like not even honed, like for those people out there that haven't even thought about it a day in their life, right? They're probably getting, you know, that might be the only time that they're getting these kind of like experiences. And I think that when you provide a time and a window that's like, hey, I can meet, I can talk during this time, and I can hear you, I can see you. You know, I've honed my abilities enough to where this isn't such a struggle that you have to use that before bedtime energy to contact me. So how do you hone those psychic abilities? For those of you who are frequent followers, you know the answer to this is practice. It's using your ability often, it's practicing exercises, it's reading yourself, reading others, however you want to do it. But I have this whole channel here. The whole point of this channel is to help you develop those psychic abilities in a safe way. And so I have all the resources here if you want to hone those abilities. I also have video courses. I also have a Patreon as well, which, quick Patreon plug. For those of you who don't know, I am on Patreon. We have a ton of extra content over there. We have 2 more live nights every single month. We've got a psychic game night. We have a member live night every single month. We also have a coaching Q&A. So I answer questions about psychic development and help you all through that. We also have like a group reading, so a ton of extra content. You also get early access to these videos. So check it out if you want to see more information from me and interact with me more on our live nights. And if you're new here, just know you can get all of the resources that you need here on my channel or even in my video courses. So I think, again, just honing those abilities, making yourself available, it provides a window that is sometime other than this like pre-bedtime time. Now, this used to happen to me. I will specifically say, like, I would see things and it would make it even harder because with my clairvoyance at night, you know, when things were dark, it was a lot easier to see my mind's eye. So I would see things just floating around above me all the time, and it was so distracting that I couldn't fall asleep. So once I got a handle on my boundaries, this definitely stopped. It still happens though, but it doesn't scare me as much. Like literally, even last night, there was a spirit in my room. I like rolled over, saw him, and I was like, go away. And then he went away. Like it's manageable. It doesn't have to be a scary thing. It's all about boundaries. So if you've been through this, I want to know what you did to kind of make yourself feel more comfortable, make it stop happening. Whatever happened to you might help someone else, so share that in the comments down below. So thank you all so much for watching this video. Please feel free to share, like, and subscribe, and I will see you in my next one. Alrighty, bye!